Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with yet another brand new podcast, our second week of the still untitled podcast. We'll get into that in a second. I have our co-hosts here. First, Theo, who introduced himself last week as being Dutch, you know, because he's Dutch. He also plays Hearthstone at a high level. And we have Engine, the wild expert, and he's got a beautiful singing voice. Maybe we'll find that someday. We'll hear that. That would be great. And yeah, before we get into our topics, we're going to go over some Nerf predictions and some esports drama, because who doesn't love drama? I just want to put this out for you guys. We're going to officially name the podcast next week. I'm going to get it started, uploaded on Spotify with that name, but we need you guys, again, we'll go through the comments last week and this week, put in your suggestions for the podcast name, as well as any questions you might have for us, because we're going to start having a Q&A segment where we answer viewer questions every week, because that's just kind of fun. So yeah, just let us know about that. And of course, like, comment, subscribe to our channels. All their socials are in the description below. It's called that, right? The description. Yeah, so you can check their Twitch, their Twitter. Theo tweets all the time, like at least, I kid you not, like 5 times this year. Yeah. Ridiculous.
It's actually getting worrying. It's actually getting worrying. It's the spam.
It's so troubling. Yeah. So yeah, anyways, all right, let's get into the top. We're still waiting on that balance patch. It might be announced. The patch notes could come out later today, who knows. The nerfs are supposed to go live some point this week, but I thought it'd be fun. Let's give our nerf prediction. What's going to get nerfed and who gets the bragging rights of being correct? So I will I guess we can leave it open for standard and wild nerfs if you want to go extra bold, because you know they love to nerf wild cards. And let's start off with the loudmouth of the group, Theo. He can start off with what he thinks will get nerfed.
I'll make a very bold prediction to start. There will be no wild nerfs.
What? That's toxic. That's.
I mean, even though it would be great if Quest Mage, for example, got nerfed, but it's not like it's really better after that. I really need a big overhaul. I think we discussed that last week. But for standard, I mean, there's some obvious nerf targets. I think we got Guff, of course, your favorite card, Zeddy. And yeah, I think what's gonna happen, or I hope it's gonna get at least empty mana crystals. So if you play it, you don't get a mana back. Same with the hero power. I think it's a bit too good now. The hero power is basically a 1 mana wild growth, and it's up till 20 mana. It's a bit too much. So rather hope to increase it, so you basically actually have to spend 2 mana on it. Besides that, yeah, Dawn Grasp, the hero card for Mage, would be great to see nerfed. I think it's just a bit too powerful in the late game. It decides too many games. It gets too big too fast. Like, so often you just get to the 6, 8, 10 pretty quickly, and then like the game is over so fast. You can't get bored because Reckless Apprentice plays with it. So I think what they can do there is make the hero power go +1 instead of +2 if you honorably kill, which slow it down and, you know, allow for a bit more time for counterplay. And well, I'll leave it to you, but obviously also there's like a Theo Denetrius, like those 2 cards that yeah, probably see some changes to too.
Well, you gotta predict what the changes are. You can't cop out here.
Alright, Theotard to 5 mana, it's like the easy +1 mana.
Yeah.
Denetrius doesn't have base damage. I'll guess that. So it needs a bit more time to charge up.
Oh, I thought you said no face damage. I'm like, wow. You just base
You'd
like
love
the first
that, Zeddy, wouldn't you? You just love to kill
that
off.
would kill the card.
You'd love to kill off all the win cons in Hearthstone, Zeddy. We know that.
I hate everything. I want Yetis. Just Yetis.
Just Yetis. Yeah.
And you're fine with Rogue. That's interesting. You don't want to.
Oh, I left some open for you. You know, the obvious Edwin.
No, you have to predict all your. We might be saying the same stuff, but you gotta. This is a big time deal. The audience is glued to their screen or mobile device. Don't you have phones? Like, yeah, they want to know every nerf prediction. Come on.
Oh, I actually do have a phone. Did you know?
I had no idea. Blizzard now knows.
Go Edwin. Whoopsie, back to 4 mana.
I'd love to see the dev comment. Just we messed up. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Atesh did that multiple times. Yeah. I wonder if I don't know if they'll do it.
I think they said it last patch with the warrior. Like, whoops, too many nerfs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, or
so you think only the 1 row card?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's the obvious targets. There's so many targets that could be nerfed, but not really sure what they'll do and how many nerfs there will be. Because now I think I said like 5 cards, maybe more.
Yeah. All
right, engine.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a bucket load of nerfs. I know they said it's more nerf focused this patch, because we got like what 8, 10, well, more than 10 buffs, right? Last patch across all the classes.
It was like 20.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think whilst this patch is going to be nerf centric, it might also be nerf heavy. One card that Theo didn't mention that I don't necessarily think should be nerfed. I used to think it should be nerfed, but I don't necessarily think it anymore. That was mentioned in Aleko's interview that he did the other day for a Chinese news website, was Scale of Onyxia. He mentioned they were looking at Scale, which I found super odd, but I kind of get it, because what was it? Back when the first round of Duel nerfs ever came out, people were looking at Scale, because it's just this comeback tool. You play it to turn after Guff. It was the patch that Miracle Growth got hit. A lot of people were expecting Scale to be hit, so I feel like that should have happened then. But I find it interesting they're considering it now, whereas I think a Slap to Guff is a pretty big takedown for the class, especially if they get both Theatar and Anathrius hit as well. So I'm kind of worried that if that happens, if they do hit Scale, because it was mentioned by Aleko that we're going to get another kind of not as bad as Warrior situation, because Druid's in a better place overall, but that kind of should we say nerf philosophy comes back, where we nerf like 5 different cards for the same class. I didn't like that when it happened to Warrior, so I'm a bit worried about
What's
Scale.
a Warrior?
What's a Warrior?
Wow.
I used to play that back in the day.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah.
They exist.
Ant got top 20 legend with Enrage Warrior today, so it's back. It's fine.
Yeah. I do kind of hope we see a couple more small changes for other classes in a buff category, though. I know I said nerf focused, but I still think
well, we're predicting nerfs engine. You gotta predict some nerfs here.
Well, the problem is, as Theo said, I think we're going to be saying the same stuff here. A revert on Edwin.
Okay, well, you can say anything you disagree with or want to add on.
I don't disagree with anything Theo said, to be honest.
Okay. Wow, you're just a fanboy.
Empty mana on Guff is what a lot of people have said forever. That hero power just giving you a ramp plus a free mana to spend is kind of insane. That should not be a thing. It should give empty mana. The Edwin revert, of course, I think is already almost locked in and confirmed. It was pretty much several days after.
I think it was locked in when the patch went live.
Yeah, it was literally the same day. They said, oh yeah, we might have made a mistake here, and I think that's going to go back, yeah, for sure. Dawn Grasp, again, is a given. It's so strong. Hero powers deciding games of Hearthstone isn't really something that should be happening, I don't think. It's too much of a problem, that fast of a scaling hero power. You shouldn't have a free resource that deals like 8 to 10 damage. It's when you watch Reynard looking at the new game, he looked at this card. It's absolutely broken. Why are hero powers deciding games now? There used to be such incremental value. You fit them in where you can, and they would decide games, but not in the way that you just die to 3 of them. Hero powers are not meant to be like that, I don't think. And
yeah, you have to hunt hero power.
Yeah,
except quest lines also.
Yeah, I mean the Hunter Hero Power is a good example, right? Because the Hunter Hero Power scales as the game goes on. It gets better and better. At first, you're doing a 15th of your opponent's health, but by the end game, you might be doing a 5th, half your opponent's health. That scales, but that just illustrates to me how busted Dawn Grasp Hero Power is, because that's 2 mana deal 2 damage, and it was already one of the best hero powers in the game, probably. And you're going to 2 mana deal 8, deal 10. It's just a bit too much.
Oh yeah, it's like, and the thing is, like, Big Spell Mage, one of the best decks in the game, sadly. I can't stand it. It runs it with no Wildfire, the only card is Reckless and Mordresh. Like, Mordresh shouldn't even be active like ever in a deck, like, but because Dawn Grasp, it just boom. And Reckless not only like clears with it, but it also scales it maybe multiple times in one hit. Like, it's just ridiculous, right?
Yeah, yeah, it can be pretty insane if you like order the health on board correctly. It can just jump from like 2 to 8 in one board, and then just ping again for 8 damage to the face. It's insane how fast it can scale with Reckless.
Yeah.
We only have 30 or 40 health to start with, and it goes by way too quick with that. And it's that inevitability thing, right?
Yeah, so that's the impact. The nerf I think will have the second most impact on the meta, because you open. I think Quest Priest gets a lot better after this balance pack, potentially, because it's not going to be touched, right? Most likely.
So can we not nerf this stuff then?
I think we can, but Dawn Grasp was Mage's way of beating Quest Priest, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I don't play a lot of Standard, but when I played Quest Priest, I basically only lost to that card or random stuff off of Root of the Archmage.
Well, Theotar is the other
Theotar,
way
of course,
now,
yeah. I'll get to that in a minute. But Dawn Grasp, I feel, is going to be a huge change if it hits. Theotar and Denathrius. Theotar, I agree, it'll probably go to 5 as a minor change. I don't know how you meaningfully change its effect, because it's still going to feel awful when it goes off. You're making it worse versus Guff, and if Guff
Cantaloupe
gets hit,
had a decent suggestion.
is that the copy it?
Cantaloupe,
or
no, Cantaloupe was you get to pick 2 cards rather than discover. So you only see 2 cards in their hand and 2 cards in yours. So you're less likely to see the good card, and you're also less likely to give them the bad card you want to give them.
True. I think that's a really hefty nerf, though.
Yeah.
And I don't see them doing that, because fundamentally it would be they'd have to reword it a lot, and
it's a lot of UI
they don't
work.
do that stuff almost ever.
Yeah, it's a lot of UI work. The Discover UI already exists, and they're not gonna rewrite it. I doubt for this, but I mean, I kind of hope he doesn't get nerfed. As a Wild fanboy, it's
so
hard.
toxic, though.
It is toxic, but it's, again, the reason it was printed is because there are more toxic things in the game that require a card like that for other decks to be able to meaningfully interact with it.
If you ever heard a one wrong doesn't make it.
I know. So I think it's going to get changed. I've been on the receiving end of it, of course. I know how badly it feels. How bad it feels. Yeah. So I'm just with Theo. I think it would go to 5. I don't see much else changing. Denathrius. I think on the last podcast I said I think the nerf to that, if it comes through, will be removing the starting damage. It's effective 10 damage removed out of the Bran combo, but I still fear that it might not be enough to neuter that whole Bran Chaos Sire combo, because yes, it's a lot of damage. I think we could also see several different changes, not necessarily to Denathrius, but to the wider package. So Kale might get the other Kael'thas treatment. It's not out the realms of possibility that the effect goes to 1. Doesn't solve an awful lot of the problem, but we've seen before that changes which slow things down by a turn are sometimes enough. It doesn't really affect Druid on 15 mana, but if Guff gets changed, enough of these tiny changes might be enough to move the needle. But we'll see. I don't feel too confident in predicting the Denathrius nerf, because there's so many different things they could do to it. If it's Denathrius, yes, starting damage removed, I'd like that, just to remove that starting this scaling. And then if it's a Kael'thas change, I think it'll go to 1. And I almost think it won't be the poster boy that gets nerfed. Controversial, but I have to say it.
Okay, well, you don't think it'll be with a what that'll get nerfed?
The poster boy. So Denathrius, poster boy for the expansion, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So my prediction, I mean, Edwin goes to 4. If they make it a 2/2, I am going to lose my mind. If they we'll just make it a 2/2, I will throw something. But yeah, Edwin has to. I think the bigger problem still in Rogue, and I'm annoyed that I don't hear more talk. I think I only heard Kibler talk about it. Is Null. I think Null's the bigger problem, and I think they need to resolve that, or it's always gonna be Maestro into 0 mana 3/5s on turn 2, all the time. It's stupid, and it locks out so many board decks. So I think they should change Null back to where it was at 6 again, because even then it's still stupidly good. I love to reword it where it just, you buff it to a 4/5 again, and it's it gets discounted by non-rogue cards in your hand. I just feel like they need to hit that card, but prediction-wise, they're not going to. I'm just making my case, even though, of course, they're not going to. They have a hard-on for Rogue. I would like them to I just think that the playstyle of that deck is so frustrating, so unfun. It's so single player. It's everything that they've like gotten rid of in the game. The stealth, like conceal, the insane burst damage from in hand, the fact that it's just non-interactive and insane mana cheat, and I'm just losing my mind facing it like 50% of my games. I find it just the most miserable. I'd rather face Denathrius Theotar every game than that crap. Like, and I don't like facing that. Like, it's so frustrating for me.
It's very frustrating.
They want this gameplay style to be a thing when it's just so unhealthy and unfun, unless you're the other player, I guess. But I've played it. I don't find it that enjoyable to play. I don't know. So yeah, but I do think probably they love Rogue, so only one nerf to Rogue and Druid, which I think will get warriored. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna make Guff 6 and empty mana crystals. I think they're gonna kill it.
I'm worried about
because they've heard some.
Yeah.
And they're gonna nerf Scale to 8 because they're gonna overdo it, and Druid's gonna be dead, except for aggro Druid, which will still be okay. I think they're gonna kill Druid. I don't think they're gonna what I would like to see is Guff go to 6 to see how it starts, if that's enough, because the whole class is built around the damn card. It's been obvious. The empty mana crystal thing, I think alone just kills it. So I would just bump it to 6, see if slowing it down. It probably doesn't do enough, but everything else gets babied. Why do we kill Druid right away? But I think you guys are probably more right, but I'm gonna say they're gonna go over the top, and yeah, 6 and empty and scales to 8.
No.
Theotar goes to 6, or sorry, 5,
6.
Not 6. I would put it to 6. I really would. I think it's that powerful that it should be played as a powerful, expensive tech card, not tempo. Because that card's like at 4, it's like you can play it. It's not even a big loss of tempo. It's so gross.
It's kind of
5.
5, it hurts the tempo line pretty hard. So I can live with it a bit more. Plus, it's like, yeah, I don't know, like. I don't like the tempo aspect that on 4 it doesn't feel that bad.
No,
so yeah, that to 5 I think is going to happen. Denathrius, I think they take the base damage off too. I want to say Infuse too, but
no,
that probably kills the card. So
yeah, it's like you have to Bren with and it deals damage that it does without Bren at the moment.
But I do think they're gonna nerf Kael'thas too. Possibly. I don't know.
I don't think so.
It'd be one or the other.
They leaked it. They leaked it before. It was leaked that they changed their mind that was the 4th minion cost 0 rather than 3. But that doesn't even make sense flavor-wise with the cards. So, and they're all about their flavor, except for like when they changed Jandis, which they reverted later.
I mean, that's part of the reason I think Kel will get nerfed is what you mentioned. So for people who don't know, the last balance patch was leaked, and the one incorrect part of it was Kael'thas was leaked at 1 mana effect, right? That was the...
Not 1 mana, it was the 4th minion cost 0 instead of 3rd.
4th was it? Oh, sorry.
So you couldn't just play Kael, Bran, whatever. You had to play Kael, Bran, another minion, and then do it.
That sounds like too much.
Which...
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It could happen, but... No, I'll put the bold prediction out there since nobody else is, and then I can brag about it because we're all saying the same things. The one also that you guys didn't mention that I do think will get nerfed, I think there's a really good chance of it, is the mage location. I think will lose a durability. Yeah, I'd be quite surprised because they're talking about feels, and having your board frozen all the time feels bad. Yeah. And I think that could be more of a feel. And the numbers on the card are really good anyways. And I think at 2 durability, the card's still really good. But it's just a really annoying card that they have 6 charges of across 2 locations to freeze you all the time. So I do think that card gets nerfed. And yeah, I mean, I think we're all pretty much... I'll also predict that Null gets nerfed. They're going to nerf Null because they're smart people. And they're like, you know what? It's a problem with Maestra, and it shouldn't just be this Burgle payoff card with 0 Burgle cards other than Maestra. So they'll hit that. They'll make it a 3. They'll buff it to a 4 or 5, and it'll be non-rogue cards. And I'll be wrong. But I don't care. I'll stick to it.
Yeah, that'd be nice if they do something about the null. It'd be great because every time it's like the same opener from Rogue, right? You see a warrior, you know it's Rogue. They trade the cards, they trade another card, then they draw 2 on turn 3, and then
like today, a guy traded the weapon on 1, played Shroud on 2, and played 2 Nulls on 2 for 0 mana. I remember they said it was only really good because of Passage. I'm like, it was always Maestra. It's always been Maestra. And yeah, the tradables just like extend, like make it even worse.
I don't like it's
right?
just a 3-card package now, right? It's Maestro plus double null, nothing else. I would really like if just
like you have the Burgle, you have the Burnal audible kill card, but that's just because it's burn. Yeah, that's it. You don't play it for the burn. That's rarely ever a factor. So
yeah, kind of flexible removal and burn.
And I guess I'll just shoot it out quickly before we move on to the next topic. Anything you think should get buffed? Like I actually, I'm starting to get to the line of I don't like buffs because they typically do nothing until they do later, and then they're broken.
Yeah. Having said this, I do still want to see some buffs to Warrior because I don't. Right, who honestly thinks that
Warrior's really close? I don't think you buff Warrior.
Not the stuff that's good. Right. Who actually thinks this balance patch is going to bring Warrior and Paladin to playable decks?
Warrior could. Demon Hunter absolutely could. Paladin. They're very close. Paladin no. But no card buff is going to change that.
No, but things for Warrior, like the draw card. Do you ever think they should go down a road of actually just reworking a card for a balance patch?
They've never done it and they never will. No. They can't admit fault. They can't admit a mistake. No. We know this.
What about adding cards to the core? They've said that might happen in future years. I mean, I think it's out of the scope of this balance patch. They've already
confirmed it's not happening.
No, but they've said it's in the scope of a balance patch, potentially in the future, right?
What they could do is make that Joust card 1 mana, and then if it's 1 mana draw 1, it's fine, and you might high roll 2 or 3, and that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I really don't get how they got to this card. Like, hey, Joust, it was like a failed mechanic in the past. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like, yeah, it's
when you compare it to
never
like
been a good
other
mechanic.
Draw cards, right? Like composting and impending catastrophe. Like, how can you compare
ridiculous.
those?
I mean,
cram session.
King's Alec was good back in the day, right?
Because it was a beast. You didn't. If you lost the Joust, you had something to hit with your beast synergies.
It was just a 2 mana. It was a Bloodfen Raptor.
Yep.
That might draw a card, so it was worth it. And power level back then was a lot worse.
Yeah, true. Right, cool.
So, okay. All right, interesting predictions. We'll see who's right. I am. And the other thing we wanted to kind of talk about, as we're recording this, I don't think the situation was resolved, but we can kind of go into, because it's a topic we just want to talk about in general with esports. There was this Battlegrounds thing right now. They're the Lobby Legends. First off, did you know that there was Lobby Legends this weekend? I did mention it in a video, and do you know that there was even like Masters or Grand Masters the weekend before? Probably didn't, because promotion's always terrible, but there was the last game. I don't even know if it's the last game, but there was a game. They were down to the final 3, and it looked like 2 people had it basically locked up. There was a disconnect, and the rules is you have to restart the whole damn thing because Hearthstone doesn't have a tournament client. You can't just reset things, and they restarted, and there's drama on Twitter. And I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about what the hell is wrong with, like, Hearthstone Esports used to be something that's kind of exciting. We're supposed to get a tournament mode in 2018, and now years later, it's like, are we even going to have it next year? And it's like, nobody ever talks about it. They barely promote it. Where do you go? Theo used to try for this stuff. I'd like to hear your take as someone who's kind of been involved in the competitive scene before, right? Like, what do you feel about it?
Specifically to the competitive scene, like, it's a lot less exciting now. Of course, the move to YouTube was really bad for competitive. Like, Twitch is really like the home for competitive Hearthstone, and just moving it to YouTube just killed the numbers, and then less people talk about it, which makes less people interested. So that was a really bad move. I mean, I don't think it was on the Hearthstone team decision, but it's just it was a really bad move for Hearthstone esports in general. What else do we have?
Yeah, I mean,
and just like the lack of like a tournament, like we don't even have a tournament client in this game. Like, how many years? It's been almost a decade, and there's nothing. You can't reset a game. Like,
agreed. The client is just so bad. It's for just such a big game, such an old game. Like, it's been like been updates, but like just feels like every patch something else breaks. Like,
I feel like
then random disconnects or. Was it I saw you Zeddy with like Reno? You played Reno as the engine?
Oh, it's currently, if you're not aware, in Wild right now, Reno the Relicologist, if it's played, literally makes the board disappear. The board just, it's gone.
It like zooms into the top corner, and you sometimes can't reconnect either. It completely bricks the
I had to
game.
restart it. It cost me my one game for sure.
There's a bunch of new bugs.
Stuff happens every patch. It feels like really it's every patch. There's something else that breaks.
I
And
don't
for the
blame
tournament
them.
client, yeah, I mean like at least they could have done is like a replay, so you could like replay, you know, like these tournament matches, because feels like it can't be that difficult. Like it's not like, you know, how third-party websites can have these replays all. Like how can, you know,
just
how can
reset
Blizzard
the
not
game
do it
state so
themselves?
that turn, those health states, those values, like they're in this, they're in the client somewhere.
It's just a bunch
Like,
of
they
numbers,
have to
right?
be.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, I played a lot of Dota, and one of the first things you see when you launch it up, middle of the screen, there's a big square with whatever competitive match is playing currently, and you can just spectate it, or you can view the last results from that tournament. With the new in-game messaging we've got recently, you know, we can lead off to another website, or you could have something like that in-game saying congratulations to someone for winning Worlds or whatever. I wouldn't mind that as a pop-up. It'd be fine. Considering the amount of pop-ups I get from the shop, I'd be happy to know who the world champion is, because up until TwitchCon I had no idea who it was. I was standing right in front of him and they were like, oh, I'm the Hearthstone world champion. I was like, what? You know, I streamed Hearthstone on Twitch and played it for years and I didn't know who it was. I'd be happy for that to pop up in game. But yeah, a tournament mode, I think if it ever happens, it won't be in the same Hearthstone client. I think it'll be a separate client. I think we've got to the point where I think even the developers probably acknowledge the bloat of the client and the limitations of the game engine start to, should we say, you know, we got these bugs every patch, and you know, it's getting too much. And as I said whilst Theo was speaking, I don't blame them. I really don't, because they're adding more and more stuff to this client. It's written in Unity, right? I think Hearthstone, which is a notoriously slightly awkward language. I'm not a programmer myself, but I hear a lot of complaints about it. And I think if they add yet another way to play, it's gonna be more. I think it has to be a separate thing at this point. You know, people have said before, oh, why is it Battlegrounds and Mercenaries a separate client? But I really think if they do a tournament mode, if you're playing in a tournament, you have to because you currently have to download a different version of the game anyway, but that will be the tournament client if they ever make it. I don't think there'll be a tournament mode in Hearthstone.
It's kind of like the theory crafting servers.
Yeah, exactly.
We have, right?
So when we get to do theory crafting, we have to download a different game where you go play now on Hearthstone as if you were switching regions. You have to just select Hearthstone Special Event, I think it's called. It's like a separate client.
Yeah.
You have to download the full game again, but it's different. I think that'll be what tournament mode is if it's ever added, because I can just foresee the amount of problems, the amount of UI they have to do if they ever add it, because they must have their own developer client, right, in-house to, I don't know, just add cards to people's hands or something. There must exist that functionality, and I doubt they'd want to batch that with the main game. I think it would just be a separate client.
Their own little debug mode or something, their own sandbox.
Yeah, debug sandbox.
You'd have to test it, right?
Yeah.
But on the esports side of things, it's like I've been playing Rocket League a lot lately, and when they had their world championships, right above the play button, it'd be like World Championships on now, and you could like literally click it and go watch it. And they like in the game itself, they promote esports with like, if you go in the shop, you can buy the team Theo's on Complexity, like Complexity cosmetics and stuff, and they could do all this stuff that I see other games do this quite a bit, and tie in personalities. I mean, they had like streamers be people like have skins or like characters in Fortnite. There's all these things they could do to like try and, but they do nothing. And they we were talking before the podcast that they were discussing like, oh, what screenshot should we use to plug it on Twitter, because that's our main promotion. Like, who goes onto Twitter to find what esports they're going to watch? I don't even promote my videos or my Twitch on my Twitter because like that's not how you promote these things. Like that's like the worst style of advertising, in my opinion. And they just don't put anything into it. And they're like, well, we don't really get success from it. Well, it's like, cause you don't, it's like that, you know, it's, if you don't put the effort in, it's not going to do well. And then you can't be like, well, it didn't do well because we didn't put, like, I don't know. It just bothers me that this scene used to be like, it used to be a big deal. I remember like Paddling Book and what Viper and was it Frozen final? Like those are pretty big deals. Like people talked about, everybody knew about it. Yep. And now nobody even knows who a Grandmaster, like I could ask Average Joe in the YouTube comments and they'll be lucky if they can name 2 Grandmasters, if at all, any of them. And now there is no Grandmasters, period. We don't even know what next year is. We have at least 6 months of an off season for esports.
Yeah, they still haven't announced anything.
we don't know. It might not even be a thing. Like, who knows? So
Yep.
I don't know. How can you expect something to succeed when you don't put any care into it?
Yeah.
And it should have been it should still be like a big thing, but they let it die. Like, they really did. And I know Theo mentioned the YouTube move, but it was dying before that. Like, the GM thing the numbers were way down already, and then the YouTube just like absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's just kind of a shame. And then they do the Lobby Legends thing for Battlegrounds, but it's like they don't do drops for it. They barely promote it. There's barely any money. Like, the winner, I mean, it's they get 10 grand, the winner gets 10 grand, but you compare that to what they used to. Didn't Dog get like, for one Masters tour, he got like over $100,000 and then he quit? Because
but the prize pool distribution was really, really bad. It was like the top 2 get more than half of all the prize pool, I think it was. Like,
True.
You don't want that in a game like Hearthstone. Like, one game making such a big difference.
And they even didn't they do the whole thing where you could buy a bundle and it went towards the esports thing? They stopped doing that for no reason.
Yes, I think there were 2 different things. First, there was like a bundle in the shop that funded the tour stops, was it? So it was like double the prize pool, I think it was, that we got to in the end. And even though, like, I think they reached the maximum amount of funding for the extra prize pool, and they just took the extra money, Blizzard. Like, they got to like their funding goal basically, and then after that you could still buy it, but they took it all. And then there was the second one, was with the Hearthstone global games. You could cheer in the chat, in the Hearthstone chat for your team, and then like, we got like, as a team, we got like half of the cheer. So like, if you cheered 100 bits, we got like 50 bits of it as a team, and like it really added up, especially because we got kind of far with the Dutch team. Like, we got a nice extra bonus just because people were cheering onto us, and you also got rewards in chat for cheering. Like, you got emotes and stuff. I think it was a great system, but yeah, they never did it again after that.
So both seem to work well, and they stopped doing it. Yeah. Like, it's the crazy thing is, you said they hit the goal, right? They exceeded the goal on the other one.
Like, was 20 packs in the client for like 20 euros.
And it's not good enough. Like, they exceeded the goal and we're not doing it again. Like, why? It's so weird.
I don't know. There's another thing that I use Dota as an analogy for. I used to play a lot of it. They have international each year, right? Biggest tournament they do, and you can buy. They do like a treasure, so a pack where you get a certain and the compendium, and part of it, they have these packs with cosmetics in, and you can, on checkout, select from a list which team you'd like it signed by. So the revenue, like, they make it slightly more expensive, and the excess revenue goes to them. I don't expect anything like to come with Hearthstone, personally, because you don't really have that same dynamic. It's not celebrity teams as such. But a few things I'd like to say. We have this brand new virtual currency. Have you heard of it? Yeah, I don't know if you have.
I've used it.
Runestones.
No, I think I made a video on it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you might have made a video on it. Runestones are bought with real money by the player base, but to Blizzard, they have a 0 production cost for runestones, right? You could make a system like this, even if it's just to pay, I don't know, streamers or promoters of your game who are, let's face it, already buying the, pre-order bundles and stuff, or being given them as part of the creator program for expansions already. So you're not really losing out on revenue if you give them runestones. They're either going to spend it on extra cosmetics, or I don't know what you're going to do with it. They're probably going to add more ways to spend them, right? I should think, in the future, because you now have this whole thing where they can basically create an infinite supply of runestones for whatever they want. You could give them as tournament prizes, whatever, and they can only be spent in game. Again, this is a problem I have with runestones, that they're locked to Hearthstone. I wish it was a Battle.net wide. Battle.net balance. Yeah, exactly. I wish it was a Battle.net balance. That's the system they'd gone with, but no, it's inside Hearthstone, which is annoying. But they could do all these things with runestones now. That could be used as an incentive for things like this. On the subject of the bits in Twitch chat thing as well, I think several people have tried that idea. And I have a memory of it's the similar reasons why they don't do September on Twitch the same way anymore. It's being used to circumvent certain payout things. You can charge back the donations and stuff like that much later. You can charge back your Twitch subs, for instance, and whatever, and you can make Twitch streamers' revenue go negative, stuff like that. So I wonder if that had something to do with it. There's a lot of scammers out there, but yeah, I mean,
I think the vast majority
needs to happen.
The main reason Runestones is in the game is just anti-gambling. Like I believe that's the main is the anti-gambling laws, and everything else is just a side effect of it.
Yes,
and
but they present this opportunity, right?
Yeah, like you take advantage of it, but yeah, like it's just I don't think they're using Runestones to exploit players. Like
no,
even though like some of the pricing is off, but yeah, why not use the system to benefit other things?
Exactly.
Like make a positive out of a negative. It'd be great.
Exactly. You now have this kind of currency almost, which is free to them to make. So they don't have to paying creators sort of a split for these little packs or whatever, an incentive program, a creator code that people can put in when they buy packs that gives the creator they enter 10 runestones. It probably add up for the bigger streamers and would be an incentive for them to promote the
I think they had it at some point, like some sort of creator code for like a select few, but then they never continued with it.
That happened in the fall of like 2018 or 19. I remember them launch. I was excluded as that was the prior community manager's initiative, and it lasted all of like 2 or 3 months, and they ditched it.
But runestones are free.
They were not told why.
Right?
Yeah.
For them, essentially.
No, they will not see it that because a runestone to them is $1.
It is, but to my argument is to streamers who primarily whale out on the game, it's not really going to cause a big difference. I don't think, because a lot of them they're giving bundles anyway, right?
Never convincing it. They're so they won't even. This is the crazy thing. Like even with the battle pass for Battlegrounds, they gave some away to streamers, but they explicitly told them not to give them to their viewers or don't use it at all. Like they're so tight with these things lately. I'm surprised they let us give mega bundles and standard bundles out like we do lately. I don't know. I'm under the I like Sun Glitter's theory that maybe they're just trying to sabotage Battlegrounds to get people to go back to standard because it makes more money, and that's why they're doing this. Because so many things don't make sense.
I don't know. I feel like if people are just playing Battlegrounds now, they're not suddenly going back to standard. They'll just quit Hearthstone.
I think they'll go play something else. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people quit standard to go to Battlegrounds. They're not going back, I don't think.
Yeah, it's quite a different game as well. It's like it's under Hearthstone, but it's like a completely different genre.
Yeah.
And I feel bad too because like I see guys like A-Bar who works for Esports. He seems like a really smart, bright guy, and all of his I think the ideas are there. I just think they get no. I feel like the esports group get no support. They're given like the tiniest little budget, and that's it. And they can't get any integration in the system because Blizzard won't allow for the resources. Because I remember Igzor was doing an AMA, and he went on this whole thing of like how he'd love to build esports in the client, and talking about basically what I said about Rocket League, right? And all these great things he'd love to, and none of it's happened because it's not his call, like, right? Yeah. Even if he's game director, he doesn't get to decide what's allocated to the game. He's like he works with the higher ups and fights for what he can get, type of thing. But
yeah, I think a lot of it is not up to the devs. It's just like they just get this certain amount of money, and then they just have to spend it the best way they can, and it's not a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't imagine what A-Bar's job is like, because he's head of esports, right? So his job must be to take, I don't know, a funding proposal to whoever divvies out the money at Blizzard, and to say, give me this amount of money and it will be profitable. But I can't imagine how difficult that job is within Hearthstone Esports. A lot of it doesn't have third-party advertising on it, so that's a revenue stream. But how do you convince the higher-ups that Hearthstone Esports will make money nowadays? There are ways, of course, but that must be so difficult, especially, with declining viewership and stuff, which I think is the reason they took the YouTube deal, because, it was profitable
they
for
took
them.
That deal. Literally YouTube, they won the Overwatch League and I think something else, and they basically threw it in. It was literally just thrown in. There's no strategic thing about it. It was just dumped, and Hearthstone just got screwed. Yeah, that's basically it.
But how do like the funding for esports comes from the higher ups who want to who have to allocate that money based on a profit motive, right? So they want it to generate a return, and return in Hearthstone Esports must not be easy to come by.
No, I don't think like Hearthstone Esports itself is ever profitable. It's just
advertising, right? Yeah, it's advertising.
Esports is typically
badly, I think,
to promote your game. That's all it's there for.
Yeah.
But also like long term, like if people get invested, they'll keep coming back. Like for example, with like League of Legends, like I played it mostly like in like 10 to 8 years ago, but I'm still like watching like the esports, like the World Championship every year, and like occasionally I go back to play just because of esports. Like if there was no esports, I wouldn't have gone back to play it most likely. But that's kind of like the long term benefit of esports. It just people can watch it again and be like, hey, I want to play the game again. This looks fun.
And Hearthstone just doesn't have that anymore. It did. At one point, it was one of the bigger ones out there.
I mean, it built Twitch. Hearthstone was one of the founding blocks of Twitch. You had Hearthstone streamers, you had League of Legends streamers. I remember what else was on early Twitch. That's all I remember the big categories being, you know, as Justin TV turned into Twitch.
Maybe Counter-Strike?
Maybe. I honestly can't remember.
TV as well back then. With Hearthstone.
Yeah, when JTV turned in.
League. That was before, I think actually it was before.
Yeah,
Hearthstone.
It was literally just League, Hearthstone streamers, and the esports, the whole celebrity nature of it, which we don't have nowadays. That's what got me into the game, I have to say. But yeah, they make this whole advertising esports thing that we started off on. It's a thread on Twitter from the last week where they were talking about, you know, Sunglass has posted, where was it advertised? And then they say, oh, it was advertised on the launcher, but with the graphic that was really bad, you couldn't tell what it was really without, you know, because
they all blend in.
It all blends in, and no one really looks at the launcher panels. I never swipe through them. I just click play, and I see the launcher for maybe 5 seconds.
I only do to find the sale to make my video where I go Blizzard. That's like it.
Yeah.
You know, every time there's a sale, I get added on Twitter like 20 times anyways. I can't miss it. They're like, oh, we gotta let Zeddy know. He's gonna get mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the launcher. Yeah, there's now the first slide is basically Lobby Legends, but like just the logo really. And then you go to the second slide.
Why is there not a player in the launcher? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can just click on link. But then the second slide is like a nice graphic for the new season pass for Battlegrounds buy now.
Yeah. And no showing of the extra heroes you can get. Oh, just the cool cosmetics. Why couldn't we just market it that way? No, anyways. I get so annoyed with that.
Zeddy.
I want to buy the stupid pass. I want to buy it, but I can't. I can't buy it on principle. There's no way. I can't do that. I buy. What's that?
It's only runestones.
Yeah, I know. It's true. Actually, you can buy that with money. The battle pass you can buy with money.
I haven't touched it.
There's that.
I haven't touched it.
Yeah, I'm not going to until they take that thing out. Otherwise, I'd buy it. You know, at least when I'm wailing out and buying stupid portraits and stuff, that's not a competitive advantage. It's just me being an idiot and wasting my money. Whereas Battlegrounds, I want the cool stuff, but I don't want to pay for a competitive advantage, so I just can't do it.
It's a shame. The quests look really fun. I just can't bring myself to spend 15 quid on it, you know.
Anyways, we should probably wrap this episode up. Yeah, again, let us know in the comments below if you have questions, suggestions, all of that. We want to keep trying to doing this a weekly thing, getting it uploaded. I want to thank Theo and Engine for showing up again, putting up with this nonsense. And
thank you for showing up as well.
I guess. I don't know. It's okay. And yeah, check out their channels, description and all that stuff down below. And I guess we will catch you all next week. Same place, same time, the usual. And I hope you guys, have a great day and stay salty. Sometimes I forget my own line and then I have to re-record. I'm like that bad, but I remember. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.